on my trip to China.
You're not including it formally?
No, I don't do it formally because since we're waiting on them to set up, we can just do it. You guys know I went to China as a guest of the information minister in China. I was the only person from this part of the world, the only minister. Most of the other ministers were from Asia or Africa. And it was really an interesting visit. And I'm hoping that as a result of that visit, we can have some cooperation agreements, not only for government, but for private media as well, because they really are very advanced technologically. And for example, we went to CCTV, we went to their new headquarters in Beijing. And hear this, it can only hold 10,000 employees, 17 escalators, it has two towers.
Yes.
State-owned media. But what is interesting, and what I found quite interesting, is that although they're state-owned, the state only puts in about 27% of the cost of operating the media houses. I mean, CCTV is huge. We also went to China Daily, which is their English version of their newspaper. And it was also very interesting. They also would not mind having arrangements with journalists from Jamaica coming and spending time in their newsroom and them sending somebody. So we have opportunities for cooperation in that way. We went to one of their provinces, Jiangsu province, which is where they have most of the major economic, like the industrial belt, in a place called Suzhou, where their annual income, per capita income, is like 20,000 US dollars. So it's quite wealthy. But they have a television station there that is also a national. Although it's provincial, it has some government input. It's called the Jiangsu Broadcasting Corporation, JBC. Interesting. But listen, you should have seen their studio. I was like, my mouth was like this. It was like 3-story high, the studio, massive. They do no station in China is allowed to do more than 2 reality shows per week. That's regulated. But they do reality shows. It's just massive, the kind of money that they spend. Their asset base for that provincial television station. And get this, 1.5 billion US dollars.
No debt.
Guys, I was blown away. But it was an interesting visit. We had a mix of media, and we also had a mix of lectures on China's economy. I've invited the gentleman who is like their guru on privatization to come to Jamaica to talk about, their economy and how they have reached where they are. It was really an interesting visit.
Where are the minister? Where
no, let him ask quickly.
I wanted you to.
Advertising, yes. They have a very vibrant economy. It's really interesting. I have asked that the State Council for Information Office, which is really like their Ministry of Information, I have asked that they develop a program to bring Jamaican journalists to China on something similar that I went on, because I think it would really be interesting for you guys to see just how they operate.
I wonder if Minister would like to share some of that when we start formally. It sounds very interesting.
Well, they can ask the question.
It sounds very interesting.
If they're
all right, I think we're ready. We're ready? Good. Thanks. Okay. Let me say a very special good morning to you joining us on PBCJ, on the internet, and via other media, as we welcome you to our weekly Jamaica House Media Briefing. It's Wednesday, November 13, 2013. I'm Lincoln Robinson. With me this morning, we have our Minister of Information, Senator Sandra Faulkner. As always, we will update you on some of the decisions coming out of the Cabinet, and there are some other issues pertinent thereto. Today, as we have indicated, we have a state visit from the Haitian President later this afternoon, and we will be making some announcements, some details on that as well. I'm now going to turn things over to Minister Faulkner to update us on this day's briefing.
Good morning, everyone. Before I go into the cabinet briefs, the Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Portia Simpson Miller, has written to the President of the Republic of the Philippines, and I'll just give you a quick portion of that letter. Excellency, I'm deeply saddened by the devastating news of the passage of Typhoon Haiyan, which struck the Philippines on Friday, November 8, resulting in the deaths of several thousand persons, serious injuries to many, and extensive damage to property, including churches, schools, and public buildings, many of which were being used as shelters to house displaced persons, including women and children. I'm further disheartened by the fact that despite the Herculean efforts of the authorities to evacuate several hundred persons before the storm, the horrific effects of one of the most powerful storms recorded by the country could not have been averted. The government and the people of Jamaica grieve with the people of the Philippines at this time of wide-scale loss and suffering. I extend our profound condolences, especially to the immediate families and relatives of the victims, and wish you strength and courage as you commence the daunting task of the reconstruction process. Excellency, our thoughts and prayers remain with you and all Filipinos during this time of bereavement. Cabinet has approved Jamaica's accession to the Maritime Labour Convention 2006 and has authorized the deposit of the instrument of accession to the convention. Approval has also been given to the Chief Parliamentary Council for drafting the requisite legislation to give effect to the convention. The Maritime Labour Convention provides a comprehensive framework for the rights and protection of seafarers to ensure, among other things, decent working conditions. The convention came into force on August 20, 2013, after it was ratified by 30 countries representing a third of the world's gross tonnage of ships. A seafarer is any person employed or engaged in any capacity on board a ship to which the convention applies. Implementation of the convention imposes no immediate financial obligations on Jamaica. Jamaica is a party to a number of international labor organization conventions which have been subsumed under the Maritime Labour Convention. The pieces of legislation to be reviewed are those which cover freedom and association right to collective bargaining, the elimination of forced labor, the abolition of child labor, and the elimination of discrimination in respect of employment and occupation. Jamaica's ports have received on average 3,500 calls, or approximately 50,000 seafarers calling at Jamaican ports each year. As we are aware, Jamaica has the only maritime training institute for officers in the Caribbean, which has been approved by the International Maritime Organization, the IMO. Consequently, Jamaica is required to discharge its obligation as a port, coastal, and flag state. This includes the inspection of working and living conditions existing on Jamaican and foreign ships, as well as regulations governing seafarers, employment agreement, and recruiting agencies. The President of Haiti, His Excellency Michel Martelly, will arrive in the island this afternoon for a 3-day state visit. He will be met on arrival at the Norman Manley International Airport by the Governor General, His Excellency Sir Patrick Allen, and Prime Minister the Most Honorable Portia Simpson Miller, as well as Cabinet Ministers. While here, President Martelly will meet with the Governor General, the Prime Minister, and Leader of the Opposition. He will also hold talks with Prime Minister Simpson Miller and members of the Cabinet, heads of executive agencies, the private sector, on a range of bilateral, regional, and multilateral issues. Among the areas to be discussed are security, trade and investment, tourism, sport, culture, and CARICOM assistance to Haiti. In welcoming the visit of the Haitian President, the Prime Minister said it will serve to deepen the long-standing friendship that both countries enjoy. The Prime Minister noted that as one of our closest neighbors, Haiti has always been a great friend of Jamaica, and the strengthening of relationship will enhance the ties and the growth and development of both countries. President Martelly and his delegation will leave the island on Friday, November 15, 2013. And as you are aware, the Prime Minister just returned from an official visit to Japan, and that visit lasted from the 4th to the 8th of November. The purpose of that visit was to mark the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Jamaica and Japan, and to pave the way for the further strengthening of the bonds of friendship, cooperation, trade and investment between both countries. Prime Minister Simpson Miller was accompanied by the Honorable Philip Paulwell, Minister of Science, Technology, Energy and Mining. The visit, which was the first by a Jamaican Prime Minister in 16 years, showed that Jamaica continues to assign importance to the relations with Tokyo and to value balance in our foreign policy. Japan is a member of the Group of 8 and will likely win election to the UN Security Council in 2015. And 62 of the Fortune 500 companies are based in Japan. So you know it's a very important place for us to have good relations with. Japan has been a traditional friend of Jamaica for the past 50 years, providing development cooperation and serving as a market for Jamaica's Blue Mountain coffee and cultural goods and services. Investments from Japan in Jamaica's agricultural and energy sectors have also been very significant. The visit produced an agreement on technical cooperation between both sides, which will provide a more predictable framework for continued technical cooperation from Japan to Jamaica. The Prime Minister of Japan, among other things, offered to cooperate further with Jamaica on disaster prevention by sending an expert to provide assistance. He also agreed to consider diplomatic support to Jamaica on the question of the categorization of highly indebted, vulnerable, middle-income countries and their exclusion from certain forms of concessionary financing. The meetings with the private sector provide clarity on the way forward in relation to investments in trade and tourism, among other areas. The meeting with the Japan Olympic Committee produced an offer from Japan for Jamaican youth to benefit from training at Japan's National Training Center and their Institute of Sports Science. The participation of the Prime Minister at the IDB-sponsored seminar on Latin America and the Caribbean provided an opportunity for the Prime Minister to outline to the Japanese private sector the opportunities for investment in trade with Jamaica. And you will hear more on the Prime Minister's visit, but I just wanted to give you an update on it. But in short order, you will get a further and a deeper update. Cabinet has approved the award of a contract for $2.65 million for the supply of 500,000 blank Jamaican passports. The contract has been awarded to the Canadian Banknote Company and is for the period April 2014 to March 2017. The acquisition of the passports will allow the Passport Immigration and Citizenship Agency to provide uninterrupted passport services for Jamaicans locally and overseas. It will also allow for the continuation and completion of work on a new integration border management system, which will come on stream over the next 3.5 to 4 years. This system will replace the current standalone systems which are used in passport, immigration, and citizenship units. The new integrated system, supported by modern technology, will have the capacity to introduce an even more secure generation of passports, as well as keep pace with international trends and best practices. Over the last 6 years, PICA has issued an average of 150,890 passports each year. Cabinet has approved a contract to General Paving Company Limited in the amount of $171,240,000 to carry out rehabilitation work on the main road from Santa Maria to Sligoville in St. Catherine. Work will be done on 6.7 kilometers of roadway under the contract. The road improvement forms part of the IDB's Transportation Infrastructure Rehabilitation Program to improve road conditions since the passage of Tropical Storm Nicole. The work will be undertaken in 3 sections: Red Hills to Santa Maria to Sligoville, and Sligoville to Bog Walk. Work on sections from Red Hills to Santa Maria is substantially completed, while work on the section from Sligoville to Bog Walk is about 15% completed. The work to be carried out on the Santa Maria to Sligoville will include resurfacing with asphaltic concrete overlay, construction of retaining walls, and drainage improvement. The contract is for 6 months and the work is scheduled to commence this month. Cabinet has approved a contract for $68.2 million for renovations to the Turtle River Road in Ocho Rios. The contract has been awarded to Surrey Paving and Aggregate Limited. The Turtle River Road development project is being undertaken by the Urban Development Corporation, the Port Authority of Jamaica, and the Tourism Enhancement Fund in order to improve the tourism product in the town of Ocho Rios. Both the PAJ and the TEF will provide funding, and the UDC will provide project management and technical services in the implementation of the project. The scope of works for the Turtle River Road includes demolition and earthworks, construction of asphaltic, concrete, cobblestone pavements, storm drains, guard butts, as well as landscaping work. And those are the briefs. We told you it would be short and sweet, so we open the floor for questions.
Thank you, Minister. Do I recognize?
Well, we can recognize Abka. He's wearing red. You don't have anything to ask? Okay, wonderful. No questions? You want to say, all right, what
yes,
okay, question.
Hi, how are you? The visit with the Haitian president, I'm just curious to know if there would be any discussion regarding the issue with the Dominican Republic.
I am sure it will come up. I am sure that that's a subject that will come up.
Is there anything like any preset?
No, I would not want to preempt what the discussions will be. I think we have to allow the Prime Minister and the President to have those discussions without me putting my mouth in it first.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Okay, so what question you want to hear about China, Abco? You know, they paid for the visit. It didn't cost the government and people of Jamaica a cent.
I gather you had some talks while you were in China. I'd like to know if there's anything that you can report to us that might be of interest.
Most of what we had, the discussions, I wanted to see how, when I looked at the level of the technological advancements in China and just the size of their media and where they have come philosophically, not only technologically but philosophically, I felt that there was an opportunity for media houses in Jamaica, not just on the government side, but from private media, to have some kind of interaction with Chinese media. So I had those discussions. I spoke to China Daily, and I've spoken to the State Council for Information Office on the areas of cooperation that we could have. And I know one area they spoke about where they would not have a difficulty is to have exchanges where they would send Chinese persons, media persons to Jamaica, and we could have the reverse where Jamaican media personnel would go. But we are going to have further talks, though, in terms of government operations to look at how we can have some technical arrangements between China and the PBCJ.
The FID was conducting some due diligence into the preferred bidder for the 360 megawatt project. I just wondered if you could say to us whether that has come to cabinet as yet.
No, I have not seen that, but I had a discussion with the minister, and he says some things are happening and he will update the nation. I spoke to him about that yesterday, but it hasn't come to cabinet yet.
Thank you.
Any other?
Thank you
Okay.
very much, guys. Thanks for letting me off the hook this morning because I have to go to that other meeting. I'm sorry I shortchanged you, but sometimes we'll make up for it. Sometimes these things happen. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Thanks, colleagues.